Good evening. Thank you. Some of you have been here before, so you remember. I'd like to have you talk back. My name is Shirley Malcolm, and I am Senior Advisor and Director of a project called Sea Change at the American Association for the Advancement of Science. On behalf of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, or AAAS, I want to welcome you to this conference, the Emerging Researchers National Conference in STEM for 2019. I want to ask that during the plenaries and throughout the conference to please tweet using the hashtag ERN2019. ERN2019. All tweeters will be entered into random drawings to win one of 6 prizes to be drawn at the remaining plenaries. So start tweeting. We at AAAS are proud to collaborate with the National Science Foundation in welcoming you and in being able to put on this session. We are thrilled to present this conference, and quite frankly, I'm just happy we were able to meet. It seems like it's been one thing right after the other. First, we had a shutdown. Then we almost had another shutdown. And then we had snow, sleet, and freezing rain. It was almost like, okay, what's next? But you made it here, and we have the opportunity to hear you, listen to you, and to have you participate in all of the activities. For those of you who don't know AAAS, we are the largest general science organization in the world with over 120,000 members. We are the publisher of Science Magazine and the Science family of journals. We generally hold an annual meeting each year, and for some strange reason, it's almost always the week before this meeting. As a matter of fact, I just left this hotel 4 days ago. Now, I want to give you what I call Conferencing 101. Okay? Conferencing 101 is how do you get the most out of this experience? Now, I know that many of you are here to give your posters and your oral presentations, and that's great. But also, please take advantage of the networking. Go out and meet people. There are information and help sessions throughout the meeting. Take advantage of these. Visit the exhibits. There are people there that are offering research opportunities, summer internships, graduate support, and graduate programs. Don't just look at the things in your own field. Look at what is going on in other areas as well. I urge you to do that because sometimes you get a lot of ideas just from looking through a different lens, through the lenses of other areas. In terms of conduct at the meeting, I would indicate that both AAAS and the National Science Foundation have anti-harassment policies. I would therefore ask all of you, be good to each other, be nice to each other, be civil to each other. Give your speakers give the speakers your full attention. There is a lot you can learn. In coming back to the issue of science and the science family of journals, it's been exciting for me to work at AAAS. I'm trained as an ecologist. I have a PhD in ecology from Penn State, and I've been a faculty member. But for me now, to be able to enjoy the interdisciplinary space, the focus on policy, on communicating our science, on sharing science with many different kinds of publics, that's exciting. One of the most exciting things about being at AAAS is the fact that it is an interdisciplinary society. So I am able to learn from and listen to those who are in other fields that are far removed from where and how I was trained. The science family of journals covers a wide spectrum. Science itself publishes papers across the entirety of the natural sciences, the social behavioral sciences. We have science robotics, science immunology, science translational medicine, science advances. Because the sciences and engineering are in fact seeing this period of convergence, it's important that we open up the possibilities of looking across these many different fields. One of the things I'd like to share with you is a short video that features Science's Breakthrough of the Year. This is everything that they look at during the year, and then they make a decision, the editors decide. What's been the most exciting, the most impactful, the most important? And so I want to share that with you before introducing our next speaker.
Every year, reporters and editors at Science choose 9 runners-up and 1 Breakthrough of the Year. They look for the most significant scientific discoveries, developments, and trends. But before we get to the breakthrough, here are the runners-up. In a detector beneath the South Pole, a ghostly particle called a neutrino left a telltale track. Researchers traced it back to its likely source, a bright galaxy called a blazar, far away. The findings suggest blazars may also be the source of mysterious, ultra-high energy cosmic rays. Deep beneath the Greenland ice sheet, scientists have discovered a massive crater. It was created by the impact of a mountain-sized asteroid. The impact is relatively recent and hasn't yet been firmly dated, but the event may help explain some puzzling climate changes. This ancient fossil is more than 500 million years old. But was it an animal? An intriguing find suggests it was. Scientists discovered traces of cholesterol, a signature of animal life, associated with these fossils. The feat indicates the fossils, which belong to a mysterious class called Ediacara, were some of Earth's earliest animals. The first drug based on a gene-silencing reaction called RNA interference, or RNAi, won approval this year for use in the United States and Europe. Researchers discovered RNAi, which blocks messenger RNA, 20 years ago, and the drug, which targets a rare hereditary disease, could be the first of many. Until recently, sexual harassment in science has been underreported and largely ignored. But 2018 brought signs of change. Several institutions upheld allegations against prominent scientists accused of sexual harassment, discrimination, and bullying. And the U.S. National Academies of Science issued a report calling for systemic changes to prevent such abuse. This year saw increasing evidence that cellular components condense into tiny droplets, a process called phase separation. The droplets can perform critical functions. Researchers have found they play an unexpected role in the transcription of genes, and they identified a possible path to dissolving solidified droplets that clog the brain and contribute to diseases such as amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. From a cave in Siberia, researchers recovered DNA contained in a bone fragment of a woman who lived more than 50,000 years ago. Analysis indicated her mother was a Neanderthal, and her father was a Denisovan, a mysterious group of archaic humans. The finding is the most direct evidence yet that genetically distinct types of ancient humans interbred. Police detectives have used a new tool, forensic genealogy, to crack about 20 cold cases, including crimes committed by the suspected Golden State Killer. The criminals left DNA at the crime scenes. The detectives searched through a public DNA database to identify people who had similar DNA and were likely to be related to the criminals. Researchers have developed a technique based on electron microscopy that allows them to determine the precise shape of small organic molecules. The new approach is simple, fast, and works on tiny samples. It is likely to help speed up drug discovery. And now for the breakthrough of the year. From at least the time of Hippocrates, biologists have been transfixed by a mystery. How does a single cell develop into an adult animal with multiple organs and billions of cells? Now, a combination of technologies is allowing scientists to track the development of organisms and organs in stunning detail, cell by cell, through time. They can see when genes in individual cells switch on, cueing the cells to play their specialized parts. The techniques are like having the sheet music used by an orchestra that indicates when the strings, the brass, percussion, woodwinds should chime in to create a symphony. These groundbreaking studies have already mapped cell fates in organisms from zebrafish to mice, and more is sure to come. Science is recognizing this combination of technologies and its potential for spurring advances in basic research and medicine as the 2018 Breakthrough of the Year.
Now, I would like to introduce Dr. Karen Marangel. We were sitting there visiting at the table. She is trained in mathematics and is a professor within a Department of Mathematics and Statistics, but she's dean of a College of Arts and Sciences. And we were sitting there musing about the fact that being within a College of Arts and Sciences, she has the opportunity to really work across everything and to look at issues and fields across the humanities and across the arts and everything. And I found it interesting when the imagery of the symphony was actually introduced in the breakthrough, that how apt this was, the conversation that we were having about how it gives us strong metaphors and ways of actually describing and explaining. So I am pleased to introduce Dr. Karen Marangel, the Assistant Director of the National Science Foundation for Education and Human Resources.
Thank you so much, Shirley, and good evening, everyone. On behalf of the National Science Foundation, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to Washington, D.C. for the 2019 Emerging Researchers National Conference. We are so pleased that you could join us here. NSF co-sponsors this event with AAAS, so I want to recognize and thank our AAAS colleagues, especially Rush Holt, Shirley Malcolm, and Yolanda George. NSF and AAAS have collaborated closely for many years to support the goal of developing a diverse, internationally competitive, and globally engaged STEM workforce. The ERN conference presents a wonderful occasion for you as student researchers to get to know peers and to learn about research taking place around the country and to present and showcase your own research. This conference affords you great opportunities to realize your full potential by providing early professional development and support. In fact, you will later hear from a panel of successful scientists and engineers who were once sitting where you are now. They took advantage of all the conference had to offer and prepared them for science careers in a global workforce. I came to NSF from Portland State University, where I was a dean of a College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, and I must admit that it is wonderful to be back in the presence of so many students. I do miss interacting with students. You all bring incredible energy and ideas that we need now more than ever in science and engineering. This room is filled with incredible talent. You really are the best of the best, and my short message to you tonight is to own your STEM story. Own what brings you to STEM and what motivates you to continue to pursue STEM in your careers and in your studies. As I look around the room, I am encouraged. You are at the early stages of entering the new U.S. STEM workforce, one that is comprised of people from many different backgrounds and abilities. The creative minds in this room will go on to contribute to, advance, and transform STEM for years to come, and I can't wait to see what you all achieve. At NSF, we pride ourselves on identifying exceptional researchers and supporting innovative projects focused on diversifying the workforce and ensuring that all Americans can achieve their STEM potential. Some of you may already be supported by one of our programs, and I especially encourage all of you in this room to check out our Graduate Research Fellowship Program if you don't already know about it. The goal of the Graduate Research Fellowship Program is to ensure that the U.S. builds and sustains a vital and diverse scientific and engineering workforce. I encourage you to visit their table here at the conference and to learn about the application process, and I challenge each and every one of you here tonight to submit an application. And for those of you who are
involving 12 months.
For those of you who are thinking about the professorate at some point in your careers, remember the early career grant opportunities at NSF. You would be amazing candidates for those. So at the National Science Foundation, we hope to continue to serve students from all backgrounds who wish to pursue STEM. We're glad that you're here, and we hope that you're inspired by the research that is taking place around the country, often by young scholars who stand to change science and engineering in the future. Thank you again for your commitment to this event and for the hard work that goes into your research every day. It is now my pleasure to introduce my colleague, Linda Blevins, who's the Deputy Assistant Director for the Engineering Directorate at the National Science Foundation. Linda.
Greetings. I bring greetings from Alexandria, Virginia, where I think it was about 55 degrees today. Almost like spring or summer. Felt really nice. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I'm here to represent the Engineering Directorate, and I hope I see many future engineers or current engineers in the room tonight. The Engineering Directorate has a budget of about $900 million. We support fundamental research as well as education and critical facilities for engineering discoveries. We also provide 43% of the federal funding for basic research and engineering at academic institutions in the U.S., resulting in important discoveries such as nanotechnology-enabled products and manufacturing, resilient infrastructure to withstand disasters, secure systems for communication and computing, like quantum computing, quantum information science, or artificial intelligence is another area that we're working in a lot now, and many more. We also support developing the workforce of the future by supporting cutting-edge research and education at our engineering research centers around the country, as well as small businesses through innovative programs like I-Corps, which you may have heard of, which is a big program where we teach graduate students and professors how to pitch ideas for companies, and we teach them entrepreneurial skills. We also horizon scan by funding the Office of Emerging Frontiers in Research and Innovation, or EFRI, which identifies new research areas and opportunities for engineering. Specifically, we have several cohorts from one of our programs here tonight, from something called the Research Experience and Mentoring Program, or REM. This program was launched in 2012 to broaden participation in our Emerging Frontiers in Research and Innovation program and within engineering more broadly, as well as to enhance research. When more voices are included, better research takes place. Since 2012, EFRI has supported more than 60 cohorts through the REM program, providing research opportunities for nearly 400 high school students, undergraduates, secondary school teachers, and community college faculty who would otherwise not have access to impactful research and mentoring. And tonight, and over the next couple days, we have about 12 cohorts that are here from the REM program. We recently expanded that program to include cohorts from our engineering research centers, and we're welcoming our first cohort from those centers to the ERN today. So I just want to reiterate the welcome. Welcome to the greater DC area. Welcome to Montgomery County, which is actually where I'm from. And I really wish you a wonderful meeting. So our next speaker, very delighted to introduce Arthur McMahon, who's Associate Director of the White House Initiative on Historically Black Colleges and University.
Good evening. I cannot tell you how glad I am to be here with you this evening. And although I only have 35 minutes to speak, I like to start out with a joke, but I don't have any jokes. But I can tell you one thing that's really funny. When the first speaker asked us to tweet the conference, tried to tweet it, wrong hashtag. And so my wife and kids, who I communicate with a lot, call me a geezer, and that just validates that I'm a geezer. So, but thank you for being here. And I didn't write a speech, but I did take a few notes. And first, I'd like to give thanks to AAAS and the National Science Foundation for the great work that you're doing, continuing to do in the area of STEM, and for bringing our next generations to the table and preparing them for the future. I am here representing the White House Initiative on Historically Black Colleges and University, and I bring you greetings from Jonathan Hollifield, our Executive Director, and our staff. We have a staff of 5. 4 of us are career federal employees, and Jonathan is a presidential appointee. Our mission is embedded in our Executive Order 13779, and that executive order has been duplicated each presidential term since Jimmy Carter in 1981. Our mission is to strengthen HBCUs in their efforts to educate Americans. That's it in a nutshell. Our watchword today for this year is competitiveness. We've developed a strategy around competitiveness that directs us to create more favorable conditions for our institutions to successfully compete for top opportunities in the federal sphere, as well as non-federal public and private sectors, while providing education, and economic experiences that can improve living standards of our students, graduates, and the communities that we primarily serve. So we're in it for HBCUs. That's our focus. Our intention right now is to make HBCUs more competitive. I spoke to a group of students earlier, and I talked about we work with federal partners across government, being a facilitator to help HBCUs connect with those agencies for the resources that they have available, NSF being one of our partners. So let me tell you a little bit about how we do this. There are three primary buckets that we operate within. The first one is programs. So we have 4 programs. The first one, and probably the longest continuous one, is the HBCU Week Annual Conference. Some of you here tonight have participated in that conference over the years. And again, that conference will be held in September. Last year was held here. It may be held here this year. And we expect to have 70 or 80 HBCUs, 60 or 70% of HBCU presidents, and many students. The second one is our interagency working group. I mentioned that a little earlier. We work with 32 federal agencies across government to facilitate the dialogue between HBCUs and those agencies. NSF being one of the members of our interagency working group, and particularly coordinating with Quincy Carter, who is somewhere over there. Where are you, Quincy? Oh, there you are, thank you. You all probably know Quincy. She's probably coordinated with you, but a great American doing great work in the area that she specializes in. Then we have the HBCU Scholars Program. We had a program called All Stars. We revamped that this year, and at the conference we presented 63 HBCU scholars that were selected by the presidents of their universities. And we introduced them at the conference. We provided a lot of experiences for them, the primary experience being able to come and commingle with all of the talent and expertise surrounding HBCUs and our stakeholders. And finally, our newest program is what we call a cluster program. And that originated out of an idea that the federal partners should decide what the areas of focus are for the White House Initiative. So we convened a half-day session. They came up with 9 clusters. We currently have 6 clusters that are active. We have a campus safety and security cluster. That's one of my favorites because I lead that, but that's comprised of HBCU presidents, HBCU chiefs of police and emergency management personnel, and we talk about safety in and around HBCU campuses. We have an international affairs cluster, public-private partnership cluster, human capital cluster, arts and culture cluster, and a broadband smart HBCU cluster. And if you'll notice, what's missing from there is STEM, and we're in the process of developing a STEM cluster. So we're looking right now for federal partners and HBCU participants who want to develop that cluster. The second bucket are projects. Most of the projects will originate within those clusters, and those are specific acts directed as a specific goal for a finite period. And the good work that our federal partners are doing now in clusters will present, we hope, 20 to 25 projects throughout the year. And thirdly, policy. So our executive director mainly manages the policy end, and what we've done is develop a regional concept where he has gone out meeting with the White House, Department of Education, state and local representatives, HBCU presidents and executives to talk about how to facilitate this thing of making HBCUs better. So we know we've got the right people at the table. We're taking it regionally, and we're looking for some great successes in that area. So that's generally how we're set up with those 4 programs, policy, and projects. And I said this to my students earlier, and if you heard it before, just act like you're hearing it for the first time. First of all, I'm proud of you that you've made the determination to pursue the field that you love and that you figure you can make a difference in. And I want to again quote a contemporary philosopher, LeBron James. So when LeBron was playing for Cleveland, Tristan Thompson asked LeBron, the greatest player in the world, what can we do? What can the other players do, LeBron? LeBron looked at Tristan and said, just be great in your role. And that's what I leave with you students today. Whatever your role is, wherever you are, just be great. From the White House Initiative on HBCUs, thank you and have a great conference. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Willie Rockwood, NSBP President, Chair, and Professor of the Department of Physics and Engineering Physics at Morgan State University.
Welcome, everyone. I'm finished. Again, I want to extend our sincere thanks to AAAS and to the National Science Foundation as we continue at the National Society of Black Physicists in supporting this conference, the Emerging Researchers National Conference in STEM. Just wanted to tell you a little bit about the National Society of Black Physicists. We focus upon just fundamentally 3 things as we move forward, and we just continue to support the STEM initiative in America, and particularly through the physics community. First, we focus upon, we call it the 3 Ps. First, it is purpose, partnerships, and payment. And that's what NSBP is all about. And that's why we're here to support you and as you continue to grow and be the best next level of scientists, engineers in STEM, coming up with the new discoveries. And we hope that you take advantage of everything. Take advantage of interacting with one another, as peers, interacting with some of the professional and faculty and staff that is here, and also look to go into different areas, and not just your standard area, but other areas that will also help you develop more ideas and also learn how to network across disciplines. Again, NSBP, thank you for this opportunity to participate with you and to partner with AAAS and the National Science Foundation. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Quincy Brown, who is a proud graduate of electrical engineering from North Carolina A&T, and now serves as the AAAS Program Director in EHR and the lead for the HBCU Making and Innovation Showcase. Ms. Dr. Quincy Brown.
Good evening. So I should have a video that's going to play any minute now.
This just in. We've received correspondence that a young child was found in the back seat of a hot vehicle unresponsive.
That is quite unfortunate. Our sympathy goes out to the family.
Absolutely. Well, that's all the information we have right now, but we will keep you updated with the story. This is Kevin Roberson.
And this is Lenny again, signing out.
For WGRN.
Hassan, what's going on, man?
What's going on, Brad?
Nothing much. You hear about what happened to little Johnny, bro?
Yeah, that's sad news.
Yeah, man.
It shouldn't be happening, right? At this century.
Man, 2019, bro.
Yeah.
Can't be happening right now, man.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. And I feel we could make something that our parents could rely on.
That's it.
Let us be honest. A baby changes a parent's daily schedule, sleep pattern, thought process, and of course, body. They can be so cute, yet so stressful and exhausting. With exhaustion and stress comes forgetfulness. It starts with the keys, then the phone, and unfortunately, with some cases in America, the child in the back seat. With 54% of heat stroke deaths in vehicles involving 12-month and younger babies, it is evident that the first year of a child's life relies crucially on the parent's memory and alertness in relation to the car. To combat this and save an innocent soul, we bring you Baby Rely On. Many car seat companies and car manufacturers incorporate technology to prevent these situations from happening, but Baby Rely On not only uses state-of-the-art equipment, but a double-check system to ensure no child is left behind. A dependable application compatible with the system of your car. You'll never have to rely solely on yourself anymore because we are who you and baby can rely on. For more information, contact us and we will be happy to answer any questions concerning collaborations.
Awesome. So I'm here to just say a few words about a new addition to the ERN conference, and that is the HBCU Making an Innovation Showcase. This, we just showed here, was one of the videos that a team put together that describes their project. And they created a mobile application and a sensor that will detect when an infant has been left in a car seat and the vehicle has gotten hot and created a dangerous situation. And so we have 14 other projects that will be on display for you Saturday morning from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. I encourage you all to stop by and see the great work that your colleagues have done. Thank you very much. Awesome. And so next up, I want to introduce Mr. Keith Schultz. He is the Vice President in the Office of the CEO of Vista Equity Partners.
Let's see if it works. Thank you. Good evening. On behalf of Robert Smith, Chairman, Founder, and CEO of Vista Equity Partners, AAAS, thank you for having us here and thank you for this opportunity. Let's see if I can make this work. What I wanted to do while I have a few minutes with you is to walk through something that we have initiated at Vista Equity Partners, which is actually the 4th largest software company in the world, after Microsoft, Oracle, and SAP. Most people don't realize that, but we have a large degree of STEM activities that are associated with our company and all the companies which we have within our portfolio. And one of the activities that we initiated is this activity called InternX. We launched the activity on the 15th of January, and from the 15th of January until last week, we have 4,500 registered students that are seeking internship positions. As part of that activity, we've instituted a series of best practices that we believe will be instrumental in terms of making that a valuable experience for not only the students, but those companies that have agreed to participate. Those best practices include things such as making sure that it's a paid internship, making certain that all of those students have a stretch assignment so that they can actually make sure that they learn those experiences that are going to be necessary for the jobs of the 21st century. We've identified several collaborators that work with us. You just heard earlier that the UNCF is pretty predominant, and of course we have the UNCF, Empower, and several other collaborators that work with us in terms of making sure that we have students that are prepared to enter into these jobs of the 21st century. Not only is this platform called InternX an opportunity to bring students and companies together, but there are also several learning modules that are associated with that. So it's more than just a resume book. It actually provides things such as making certain that each of the students that are participating have the ability to improve their resumes, develop solid LinkedIn profiles so that they can actually be prepared for those positions that many of these companies are prepared to provide to them. At this point, with those 4,500 students, we have over 29 companies in multiple industries that are prepared to bring these students on board. And as part of that activity, one of the things that we do is to ensure that there's career readiness rating associated with each one of those students as they come forward. And what we mean by that is, yes, there are a series of assessments that assess cognitive ability for each one of those students to ensure that the jobs that they're placed in, they're prepared to support and actually move forward in those particular positions. Very quickly, the intent behind the application that we've identified, it's actually at no cost to any participant. It actually allows both collaborators, employers, and students to benefit from the fact that all of these students are pre-qualified, such that each one of those students is pre-prepared to step into those positions that are being made available by the employers. We actually make certain that each one of the students have access to mentors, and those mentors are assigned. They have access to leadership, and again, they have access to the learning modules that ensure that they're prepared for those positions that are put before them. So in terms of how you can reach out to those that are represented, they can help you with, that can help or assist with onboarding to the platform. I'm here representing the Fund 2 Foundation, Ms. Linda Wilson, who's the executive director. Another individual who is here with me, Ms. Ivana Jackson, is the Intern X program manager. And in my role, out of the Office of the CEO at Vista Equity Partners, I serve as a corporate liaison, working with all those corporate partners who've identified positions that they would like these young people of color, diverse candidates, to actually fill this summer. Those positions are 8 weeks in duration, they're paid, and they're actually through the period of May through August. So for those people who are interested in learning more about InternX, just go to internx.org. We can always take more students. Those students that are in the room, by all means, go to internx.org and register, and we'll work with you through the process to ensure that you're competitive for those positions of the 21st century. So with that, I would like to introduce our next speaker, and that's for the ERN Alumni Panel and Q&A. And Ms. Claudia Rankins will be the person introducing the moderator. She is the program director for the HBCU undergrad program. Thank her for this entire activity, for her support in making this event possible. And so again, I'd like to introduce Ms. Claudia Rankins.
Good evening. Before I call our exciting panel up on the stage, I wanted to give everyone just a few minutes to get your food and to settle down a little bit. I hate to ask you to do this, but if you could eat quietly. No, I know that's almost a little bit impossible, but we do want to make sure that everyone in the back can hear what our panelists have to say and can enjoy our panel. So thank you for eating as quietly as you possibly can eat. So 10 to 15 years ago, when our moderator, Dr. Kelly Mack, and I were faculty, we would load our students into the Hampton or University of Maryland Eastern Shore van, respectively, and take them to what was then called the HBCU Student Conference. I am elated to see how this conference has grown into what it is today, the Emerging Researchers National Conference. I want to welcome each and every one, students from HBCUs and students from all other institutions, to this conference. Good evening, I'm Claudia Rankins, and I am the Program Officer of the Historically Black Colleges and Universities undergraduate program at the National Science Foundation, which is a proud sponsor of this conference. Years from now, I think you will reflect on this experience as our panelists are doing this evening. So I'm going to call them to the stage. Our moderator, Dr. Kelly Mack, Isa Watson, joined by Diana Pompey, Omar Alberto Movil Cabrera, and Kaba White. If you'd make your way to the stage, please. So let me just briefly introduce you to a fabulous woman. Our moderator for this conversation is my friend and colleague, Dr. Kelly Mack, Vice President of Undergraduate STEM Education and Executive Director of Project Kaleidoscope at the Association of American Colleges and Universities. And even though we are longtime friends, I do have to read her title. As you can see, it's impressive. Dr. Mack is an alumna of the University of Maryland Eastern Shore and of Howard University, a former professor of biology at UMES, and she was also a program director at the National Science Foundation for the Advanced Program. Kelly Mack is your best friend. You as students, she is your best friend as she's a tireless advocate for STEM undergraduate education. Be sure to read her complete bio and be amazed by how someone as young as she is has achieved so much. So I don't want to take up any more of the panel's time, but I want you to join me in welcoming Dr. Mack and the fabulously smart panel and give them your full attention while you enjoy your food.
Thank you, Claudia. Good evening, family. Good evening. How are you? Very good. I think the only thing that we are missing up here is some trays so that we could have dinner with you. But nevertheless, we're so excited to be here. It's Thursday evening. We're at the ERN conference, and we're just going to kick it as if we were at the club. There's so much that we want to share with you. No, we really are going to kick it like we were at the club. There's so much that we want to share with you, tell you about our experiences, and we also want to hear about your experiences as well. So there are 2 microphones on either side of the room. If you so desire or if you are so inclined, please join in the conversation with us. We would love to hear from you. First off, I just want to thank all of you for coming, for being here tonight, for traveling to Washington, D.C. I know that there are a ton of places and a ton of other things that you could be doing on a Thursday evening on campus. I congratulate you for being here, and I applaud all of your hard work, all of the hard work that got you here to this point. I'm excited about our panel this evening. I want to introduce you to 4 of my new closest buddies, and I'm going to start over here on the end with Omar. And Omar is an associate professor of chemical engineering at Polytechnic University of Puerto Rico. And seated next to me is Isa. And Isa is founder and CEO of her own software company called Squad. I got it right. Very good. Yes, absolutely. Isa is making mad money. And then seated next to me on my right is Kaba. And Kaba is a reliability data analyst and computer programmer at Naval Sea Systems Command in California. And next to Kaba is Nicole. Nicole is a second-year master's student in biostatistics at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. Please join me in welcoming our panelists. So many accomplishments. Claudia was so nice to kind of run down my statistics. I think the big question that we want to get on the table right now is, where'd you go to school? Where'd you get your degrees from? Anybody want to start? Because you know where I got mine from now.
Yeah, I got my bachelor in chemical engineering in Colombia. I am U.S. citizen, but I was born in Colombia, so my PhD is from the University of Puerto Rico at Maya West. I don't know how many students from Maya West are here today. Yeah. So I am proudly alumni from Crest Maya West. After I got my PhD, I moved to Athens, Ohio. So I was working as a postdoctoral scientist at the Center for Electrochemical Engineering Research and also as a lecturer at Ohio University.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. What about you?
Well, I guess looking at the tweets on Twitter, I got to give it out to the HBCUs. I had the pleasure of going to two. I received my Bachelor of Science in Computer Engineering from Virginia State University. And then I went on to see my Master's of Science in Electrical Engineering from Tuskegee University.
Okay. Very good. How about you, Nicole?
I have a master's in math from University of Alabama at Birmingham, and now I'm just in a different program at the same university.
What about your bachelor's? Oh, that is your bachelor's.
Bachelor's
Okay.
and master's in mathematics.
Very good. Very good. Miss CEO.
So I got my bachelor's in chemistry from the real HU, Hampton University.
I don't know anybody in here from Howard.
Sorry.
Oh, just one person. Oh my goodness. Okay.
The real HU shows up.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I got to give it to you tonight.
I did my master's in pharmacology at Cornell, and I got my MBA from MIT.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So we're doing a lot of things. We've been a lot of places. You get the call. What made you want to come back and do this panel on a Thursday evening, on a weeknight?
Oh.
And you know how, because when you get older, right, like it's 7 o'clock. Like it's 7 o'clock.
I would still be at work.
But I'd still be at work too. It's 7 o'clock. What made you do it? What were you thinking? Go ahead.
You know what? So as a CRES alumni, and also as a Latino with the highest degree in my field, I think that it's my obligation, to serve as a role model for the next generation of Hispanics, Latinos, and especially Latinas.
Yeah.
I need to encourage the young people in Puerto Rico to pursue careers in STEM. We need more Latinos and Latinas, leading different areas in STEM. So this is the reason why I am here tonight.
And you know what I found? Yeah, that's excellent. Absolutely. I totally agree with you, Omar. And I think, when I think about giving back, there's also some selfish element of it as well, because it makes you feel good. And when you've been in places where you're the only one, it's like, where's everybody? Can I do something to get some more people here just so I have a friend, maybe? Yeah. Anybody feel like that?
Yeah.
Good. How about you, Nicole? Because you're in a master's program, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Master's transitioning to PhD.
So I know you're busy.
Yeah, so, yes. But I think the reason why I wanted to come back is a little bit different from Omar. He sees himself as a role model. I don't see myself as a role model because I feel like I'm in the same place that you're in now. I'm kind of in the trenches with you. I may be a little bit ahead of some of you, especially you undergrads, but I feel like I can offer just insight on things that I've done and places that I've been and do this, don't do this, and from a perspective of I'm still doing it, not I did that 10 years ago. And I feel like, no offense to anybody else on the panel, but I feel like sometimes once people finish their terminal degrees or go on to be CEOs of companies, they get a little bit detached from the student experience.
Yeah.
And it's no fault of their own, it's just they're not in it anymore. And sometimes you forget how it really was. And so I'm here with you. Like, I know how it really is, because I'm doing it too.
Very good. I know you want to add to that.
I do. Well, although I'm not still in school, but I do think education is really important. And like you said, to be here on a Thursday is really something spectacular.
At 7 o'clock?
Yeah, because I know I would be asleep. Well, although it's only 4 in California, so.
Okay.
But it's really something that's great to be here. Even though some of the seminars may not interest you, it's still astonishing to be here because even I want to attend some. So it's like, just as much as you want to be the next big person, we all have to start from somewhere. And it really starts here, networking, meeting different people, seeing where everyone different comes from, what's their likes, what they don't like. And it's a really good thing.
It is. This is not your first conference, I know. Right? So how many of these have you been to? Do you remember?
No.
A lot.
I've lost count. But I feel like when I was in college and I would come to HBCU at conference,
Yep.
It was actually much smaller than this. This conference has grown significantly, which I think is super cool. But these conferences were some of my most formative experiences in undergrad. Like, these were the experiences where I got to meet different people, got to explore things outside of like just chemistry, just organic chemistry. And just, I felt very inspired, right? And so, you know, I've had an interesting career path, right? Where I've, you know, started out as a chemist at Pfizer, and then I moved over to Wall Street, and then I moved over to tech. And if I can give anyone a little bit of like insight and a little bit more exposure, then, you know, that makes me feel good.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And because how many things in life make us feel so good as being at something like the ERN conference, for real, for real. So I think we should go back to the early days. So I have to be honest, like Claudia said that we would pack our students up in a van or on a plane and we'd come to the ERN conference. When I was in school, here's the story. When I was in school, there was no ERN conference. So if we wanted to present our research, Claudia, we had to write it on a piece of paper and hand it in to the teacher. And it was called a lab report. So here we are, right? You
look much younger than that.
I know, it's remarkable, isn't it? It's that face cream that I use.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So here we are, though, and I just kind of want to take us back to what it was like for us, and you've started us off in this road, Isa, and thinking about how it was inspiring and what it meant for us to be at the ERN conference. And so I don't have the privilege of having had that experience as an undergrad. So can you fill me in on what it was like? Because my experience is totally different. I was responsible for the ones who I brought to the conference. And they said they got something out of it. I believe them. But what do you think?
I remember, you know, when I came here in 2011, actually that was my first presentation in English, you know, because all my education has been in Spanish, basically. So I was really nervous, and oh my goodness, my advisor, we practiced like 6 times. Basically, I memorized every single sentence that I said. And she was really concerned because I know my pronunciation is kind of weird, but she was like, please, come on, repeat with me, come on, again. And she checked my PowerPoint like, oh my goodness, like 10 times, correcting all my grammar errors. But, you know, I won in my category, you know, being my first time presenting in English. So I think that
it paid off.
So it was amazing, actually, you know, for me. That was like the starting point of my career as a scientist, actually, I think. You know.
Yeah, that's an amazing story, Omar, and one that I think we don't hear enough of, just what it means to have to teach in a different language. Not even teach, but just to give your whole presentation in a different language. What about you two?
I think
what was it like?
Kind of similar to Omar, just the nervousness you're feeling of getting to come to the conference, you know, presenting in such of a large crowd, but the faith and the trust that your advisors put in you, it really helps you get through it a lot. And I know my advisor, he wasn't able to be here today, Dr. Ansari, but you know, going over the winter break, still needing to do some things, still researching, trying to try some things out, he was still willing always to stay. And it really showed me that, you know, as much as I believe in myself, he believes in me too. So I'm not only doing this and participating in this conference for myself, but it's also for your advisors as well. And it's a really great feeling, just being here, being in the atmosphere. It's really nice.
Okay. Same thing, Nicole?
Similar. I came in 2014 and I presented a talk, and I was kind of similar to Omar. But when I got here, I didn't even know it was a competition. Like, that's how little information I had about the conference. I was only told that I was going to present, and I was like, okay, cool. And then I get here and they're like, oh, you're competing. And I was like, oh. And I didn't think, I was like, well, I'm just going to do what I was going to do anyway. I mean, I didn't think anything, but I won in my category too, and I was completely surprised because I didn't even know it was a competition. But I think what it did was it reinforced in me what I thought I knew, because it's totally different when you're sitting down with your advisor and you're, writing up a paper or something that you're trying to get published, and you have to stand up in front of people and actually explain to them what's in that paper. It's two totally different things. So I think that kind of made me step out of my comfort zone of just being in my office and at my little computer and, my little isolated world, how us math people tend to be, and made me get up in front of somebody and be like, hey, this is what I'm doing, and do I really know it enough to tell somebody else about it? So I would say that it's something that I think everybody should do at least once.
Yeah.
In the course of your studies, just even if it's something, if public speech scares you, just do it, because it's gonna bring you to another level of understanding of your own research. Because I would ask myself questions like, wait, do I really understand this slide or this piece of my research? Do I understand enough to tell somebody else? Or do I just understand enough that I'm like, oh yeah, me and my advisor did this, and we go on. So I would advise everybody, if it's not at this conference, at another one, I would say at least once in your studies, try to present something, whether it be a poster or a talk, something.
So let me ask this, for how many of you is this your first ERN conference? Just applause, because I can't see too good. Okay. I'm sorry, I can't see too well because of the light. So this question is for you, because I kind of knew that my friends here were going to give me like the really technical and diplomatic and really nice answer. But what you should know is that I was the kind of faculty who was really hands-on. And so what I came to understand was that there's the conference, right, where we present in front of our professors and we compete, and then there's the conference, right? And so there are a lot of people here for whom this is the first conference. So I want them to know about the conference, right? And I know you know what I mean by the other part of the conference,
We were
right?
in our rooms practicing our presentations.
Right, yeah, okay. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. My students used to say the same thing, which is why I kept an extra key. So I could go in and out of the rooms as I needed to. I got lots of stories. I got lots of stories. And I know you do too. So let's just be real, right? Because we're just kicking it at the ERN conference. And I know you want to know, right? Like what goes on? You want to know? Okay, they want to know. Okay, so there's some things that you do at the ERN conference, some things you don't really like about it. Sometimes you find yourself in certain situations in the room, outside the room, in the lobby, at the bar, right? Let's just be real, right? Some people making the trip to the cut rate, right? Some things going to happen. There's going to be some things going on in Washington, D.C. this weekend. They're looking at me like they don't know what I'm talking about, but I know I'm not by myself. We have to tell the truth. Okay, Omar.
I don't know what to say, actually.
Okay, so here's the little test then. So the question is, tell me how this experience, this specific experience, translated into something positive for you in your career.
Oh, and so now,
Hold on. That's the first part of the question.
Okay.
All right. First thing I want to talk about is learning banquet etiquette.
I'm like one of the least etiquette people I know.
Still?
I mean, on the inside, I fake it.
Okay.
So when I'm at, things like this, but in my head, I'm thinking I want to do, like, you want an example?
Yeah, of
Okay.
course. They want examples.
Here's an example. So tonight, when we were sitting at our table, there were several empty seats, and the food was already there when we sat down, right? There were already salads at everybody's place. So if there was not a person that sat, the salad just sat there. So in my head, I'm thinking, I would love to just round up all those empty salads and just scrape them onto my plate, because I enjoyed mine, and I didn't feel like I got enough. I wanted some more, but I didn't, because I was like, I'm at the conference, and you don't you don't act like that. You act like you got sense. And you eat your salad that's about this big, and you pretend like it was enough. And then you die a little bit inside when the servers come and pick up all the salads that you wanted and just put them on a tray, and they go to, you don't know where they went. They're gone. And I'm still wondering where the rest of them are that was on my table, because I wanted them, and she took them away, and I was real hurt about that. But
That's hilarious. Okay. But certainly, when you are talking to professors, or when you're going out to dinner with professors or speakers that come to your campus, or interviews, et cetera, those, knowing and understanding those kinds of things comes in real handy, you have to admit, right? I mean, you run a business, right? You can't like pick up all the salads off the table as the
Nah, I
CEO.
don't pick up all the salads off the table. But I do attend a lot of like galas and banquets. Oh.
Oh my goodness.
That was good.
They have some in the back for you. I do it, you end up attending a lot of galas and a lot of banquets, and most of the rooms don't look like this. In most of the room, it's like, if this is pepper, it's like salt, and there's like a splash of pepper in there, and that's you.
yeah.
And so, I remember having to learn, like, which is a salad fork, which is, I picked up the wrong glass, like I was drinking some from someone else's glass, and I was like, oh, that's, I was like, I'm sorry, I just had scooted over a little bit. But then they're looking at you like, see, we gave these black people a chance, and they don't even know how to eat. So I do think you don't want to be that person. Right. Don't be that person. So it's like, I do feel like the etiquette is super important for us.
I agree. Okay, I got another one. This is getting good now. What about the part where, and Omar, you alluded to this, where you have to stay up late and just keep practicing that presentation, and it's like the poster is never good enough, and the things don't line up right, and you got to get it to the Kinko's in time. Certainly, that comes in handy now, right? I mean, because we're always doing presentations for something.
Yeah, actually, I was getting mad at her, at my advisor, but now, playing the role as a professor, I finally understood that when your professor is very strict and demanding with you, it's because he or she actually believes in you and your capacities and your ability. And he or she is just trying to get the best of you. But, you know, I learned that over the years. So.
And I also think that this ties into a point that you made earlier about communication. The rule of thumb that I grew up on was, if I couldn't explain it to my grandmother, then I didn't fully understand it. And on the presentation side, I think for scientists, we are so meritocratic in our thinking. We're like, my results were really great, but the reality is that if you can't deliver that, communication-wise, that's what you say and that's how you say it, then your whole work is lost. And so even from a presentation side of things, I always tell people, like, practice in the mirror and look at how you speak. Oh, yeah. I realized for years I was speaking with my mouth like kind of like to the side like this, and no one was telling me, and I was like, why does my mouth look so crooked? I went to the dentist, I was like, I think my jaw's off. But it was really just that, it was like a shift because I was nervous. That was like, my mouth goes to the side when I'm nervous. So it's like, it's things like that. It's the communication, but it's also the delivery.
To pick up off what you said, though, have you guys ever tried to explain a text message to your grandmother? It's the hardest thing ever. But that's true, though, like how you kind of get yourself hyped up, like, oh, yeah, I got this. You're standing in the mirror, you're like, yeah. And then you come down, you present, like, yeah, I'm ready, and somebody come up. And it's like, but it helps you get over it, though, because you realize, like, a lot of this really helps in the things that we do now, even in our career and different things, to where it's like, when I work on a presentation to give to my program sponsors or different things, it's like, I'm not gonna ask questions. Like, where are the questions? Is it that good? It's never really, can it be that perfect? But then you start thinking like, yeah, I got this.
Yeah, and kind of on the other side of that, it's less of, can I explain it? But I know a lot of you in this room, or everyone in this room, is brilliant. And you also have to find that balance between I'm so brilliant that nobody knows what the heck I'm talking about, too. So that's the other side. It's like, one side is, do I really know what I'm saying? The other side is, do I know too much of what I'm saying that I can't explain it on a level that a layperson would understand? That's what I've learned. The biggest difference between, I switched from math to statistics, and the biggest difference is that statistics, we have to be able to explain this to non-statisticians, and if you can't, then there is absolutely no point in all that analysis that you just did. You can't take it to somebody who knows nothing about it and then tell them, this is why this is like this, and for them to understand it. So there's that side of it too.
Yeah, because I think to piggyback what you're saying, that kind of gives you a great balance too. Because sometimes when you know what you're talking about and you're doing a PowerPoint, you'll end up like 5-6 slides, and you're like, wait, it can't be right. But then when you're like, all right, let me break it down, you end up with 30 slides, you're like, okay, I'm tripping. But then you find that balance and you find that mutual ground, and it's like, yeah, like, okay, I can do this.
Okay, I got one more for you. Now, this seemed to be a struggle for my students. Actually going to the sessions when you went to the ERN conference, and they got so clever, right? So I'd show up at the session and they wouldn't be there, so I'd call them on the cell phone and they wouldn't answer. So then I'd have to run around and try and find another one and call from that student's phone to the other student's phone, and then they'd pick up, and then I could figure out where they were. But I think there's a message in that, though, in the value of actually showing up in the sessions.
I was going to say this earlier, but I used this conference to explore different areas of science. So I was a chemistry major on paper, and that's the degree I had. But the summer after my freshman year, I was super excited about material science. So I went and did a summer research internship in material science engineering at Cornell. And then I was like, no, I'm going to be the head of the EPA. And the next summer I went and I did an environmental engineering research internship at Caltech. And then I was like, no, I'm going to deliver new drug systems. And the next summer I went and did a different research internship at UNC, the National Science Foundation Research Center in nanoparticle drug delivery systems. And so it was conferences like this where I said, I want to explore different things, and I got excited about something completely different each time. And then I ended up working in organic chemistry, so none of it I did. So I think that it's really important to kind of take in and find out what you get excited about. The path to success, a lot of people I talk to in this age group, they think is linear. It is completely not linear. You can go over here, over here, over there, and no decision you make is permanent.
That's good. That is excellent. I've experienced that in my own career. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else showing up at the sessions? Benefit today?
You want to go?
Actually, when I came in 2011, when I performed my presentation, I thought, okay, the conference is done. And now I regret that because, if you are interested in a master or PhD or a postdoc, going to the poster section can be very, benefic for you, because if your future advisor is not here, at least, that student that is presenting the poster can be the connection between you and your future advisor. So everything is about networking, and I didn't know that at that time.
Yeah, and you make me think, I want to give a shout out to the exhibitors as well, because I got a lot of opportunities just by talking to people at the exhibit booths about opportunities for undergraduate research, for career opportunities. All kinds of doors opened up for me just talking to exhibitors.
Yeah, I think the sessions, they provided so much value just from, your advisor's always drizzling in your head, like, hey, I think you should go here, you should go there. And then, being a student, it's like, well, the club opened at 7, so that session's at 8. Can't do that. Right.
Ladies get in free before 10. They used to.
I think it's maybe before 12 now.
What?
Yeah.
Right, whatever is free before, nobody's in there at that time, so you don't want to go.
Nobody is there.
But then when you realize and you just start going to the sessions, it's almost start making you feel like this is a one-on-one experience. Like you start thinking like, everybody don't know what they're missing. They still in the room sleep while I'm here, and it's like the networking is so amazing because it's like, man, I'm talking to him, he's talking to me. This room could hold 50, but it's only 3 of us in here. So now it's like, this is what I really came for.
That's right. That's right. I would say just pace yourself. I think the mistake that I would make a lot of times when I would come to conferences like this is I would think that people were expecting me to go to everything. And you know, when you have a lot of stuff to do and then you're like, you just get so overwhelmed, you're like, I'm just not gonna do any of it. And you just end up not going to any sessions because you wanna sleep in or do whatever. So what I started doing, this was earlier in my academic career, I would just be like, I'm not gonna go. But then later I was like, there's no point. So I would just pick like 1 or 2 things per day to do. And so that way I'm not filling my day with sessions. I'm not running from one side of the hotel to the other. And then at the end, I'm wore down and tired. And like you want to enjoy yourself at conferences, but you also want to gain something from it. And I feel like if you try to force yourself to do too much, it'll have the opposite effect. So I would look through the plan and see what's coming up and just put stars by things and just go to 1 or 2 a day. And that way you're accomplishing something instead of getting overwhelmed and just being like, forget it, I'm not even.
I feel like I was the opposite though.
Really?
Yeah, so I would take the pamphlet the night before, but I was like Dr. Rinkins was my dean in undergrad. She'll tell you I was crazy. And I was always at her office, like knocking on her door for something else. But I would take the pamphlet the night before and I would like circle each session I wanted to go to. And I maybe I never had gaps. Like, I don't know, it was just like my energy, the drive, the excitement. I was like, I'm gonna consume all this knowledge while I'm here. All of it. So I don't know, I think that you have to find what works for you. Like, I think that some people were probably more like that, but I was crazy.
Yeah, I wasn't like that.
Yeah.
So clearly, we can go on talking like this all evening, but if you've got burning questions that you want to ask our panel, now is the time. Use the microphones, jump in here, get a piece of this action. Okay, so our ERN conference days have ended, and we're all working people, student people, graduate student people. What's the best part of what you do every day? Ooh, that wasn't supposed to take this long.
Like today, these days?
Yeah, like these
honestly,
days.
Yeah. I just think it's the value you provide, like to know that you're a part of a bigger picture.
What do you do every day? What's your title?
So I work for NAVC, so
Reliability data analyst.
Yeah.
What do they do every day?
We just look at a bunch of data and try to analyze it and make it make sense, basically. But it's so interesting because
have fun doing that?
yeah, it pays the bills.
Okay.
But no, I do love it just because it's like data I never seen before or never came encounter with or touched before. It's like the data really comes together, and just like they say, history repeats itself. There's a lot of the same things you see, and it's so interesting because it's like, well, what am I going to do today that's going to impact 10 years from now?
Nice.
Because it's gonna come back around eventually. It's like, did I do this good enough? When the next person comes behind me, are they going to know what I was trying to do? Are they going to kind of go the direction I want them to go?
So did you just always like numbers and math and or you?
I guess only when it came to money, but.
Okay, money is associated with numbers.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. To be honest, when I first decided to go to school, I just wanted to be I thought I wanted to be a computer technician. But then going through junior year and I was taking differential equations, I was like, there's no way I need this to screw out a little, screw. Like, wait, there's no way. It makes no sense. But then I was in junior year and I was like, all right, well, I'm going to just finish it. So math just is always one of those things, like, it makes sense. Even though it's really hard, it makes sense.
Okay.
Because I still don't understand the commas and the periods, but I understand the pluses and the minuses.
Okay, I hear you.
I would say the best part of my job is I am a CEO of a software company, but I function like a CEO and a head of product. And so I work with our VP of engineering to kind of co-manage the engineering team to push product, design engineering sprints. And I realized that no matter the job I've had, I've always been a builder. And when I had bosses, that's how they utilize me. I think there's a lot of pressure with it because last year we raised $3.5 million of venture capital funding from Silicon Valley. And so there's a lot of, thank you, there's a lot of intensity, but just like the ability to build software that thousands and tens of thousands of people use every day, I think is like, you're like, oh, they use that? I built that.
Yeah,
you know, there's like a little bit of pride there.
That's a huge good part. That's right. Give it up for her. $3.5 million. Outstanding. Outstanding.
Thank you.
Best part, Omar.
So in my case, you know, I like the interaction with my students. I think that is something that made me feel young all the time. I don't know why, but you know, people think that I am a graduate student on campus, and hey, no, I am
I
a
get that all the
professor.
time
But
too.
I think so, and the other thing is, as a professor, I can do many different things at the same time.
Yeah.
Teaching, research, service,
right.
mentoring the association of students, working with communities in San Juan, poor communities around my campus. So I can do a lot of things, so I have a lot of flexibility. Also, my neighbors, maybe they think that I do nothing because they see me walking my dog at 10 a.m., but you know, I am doing a lot of work at home. So I like that, you know. So I have the freedom to do whatever I want. So
Nice. Very good. Very good. So the student life, right?
So I don't have a job, but
But
I
you
think
work.
I do a lot of work. That's the misconceptions. People think students don't work. I think we work harder than anybody.
You do.
And it's tough because, well, you guys know, well, the students in here know that a lot of times as grad students, a lot of the work that we get is not necessarily the recognition work. It's the dirty work that nobody else wants to do.
Yeah.
It's the stuff that you know that isn't going to be published in the paper or something like that. So it's kind of like, how do you find joy in something that is not necessarily famous or not the big deal? And I think the way that I see it is that even in like kind of like what you said, just playing a small part in a bigger picture. And also you have to think that, what you're doing is going to lead you to something bigger. So it's like, don't look at it like, oh, I'm doing the work that nobody wants to do. They're just dumping all this stuff on me just because the big professor in the department doesn't want to clean the data or whatever it is. You have to remember that there's going to come a time where you're going to be at the forefront. And I think you're going to appreciate it more when you've done that dirty work because it's like, I put in the hard work to get to this point where I get the recognition and my name, I'm a first author on a paper and not a no author on a paper, even though I did a lot of work on that paper. I think that you're more appreciative of it. Nobody's appreciative of things that were handed to them. You're more appreciative of things that you worked for. So don't despise the grimy parts. I know grad school can be really grimy, but I love learning new things, and I feel like everything I do every day is something new. I'm learning something different. And it's like I'm just adding another brick to the, whatever it is that I'm building, whatever career you want to build. That data cleaning that you think is so silly or just menial is a brick in that foundation that you're building for your career for the future.
So true.
Hi, I had a question. I'm sorry. Way back here.
Oh wait,
I can't see
Oh,
you.
okay, see you.
Hi.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Truman Free here at Tantrums University in Kirkland, Missouri, small liberal arts college. And I first want to say you all are very inspiring to all of us here, so we really appreciate you being here. The second thing is, one, what inspires you all to continue forward, to progress where you are going in your careers? And then the second is, what's some advice you all would give each other or give, I guess, yourself 10 years in the past or whenever you were in undergrad?
Okay, so I know there are two questions.
Yeah.
Give us the first question really slowly.
Sure. It was, what inspires you all to proceed through your career?
what
And
inspired us to
proceed.
pursue our careers.
Yeah, exactly. And
Okay.
the second was, what's some advice you would give yourself in undergrad?
What advice do we have for an undergrad?
What advice would you give yourself? Like if you go back in time, yeah.
Did you read my paper? That's on my paper. Okay, we'll do your first question first. What inspired us to pursue our careers?
I think, well, mine was my uncle. He was a computer technician, and so it got me interested in computers just because it's crazy how you can take them apart and put them together so many different ways, and it still does the same function. So he really inspired me to really go into engineering and do those different things because it's nothing you can't think of if you don't put your mind to it. The only thing you can't do is, don't apply yourself. But when you really apply yourself, it's like the world is really yours. It's anything you want to do.
I think being a cool thing about a scientist, or being a scientist at heart, is that I always love to problem solve. And I think that's why I just jumped around so many disciplines like a crazy person, and even through my career. And so I was always attracted to like, what is a really big problem that I want to solve that I know will make a difference in somebody's life? Yeah. And when I was on Wall Street, I was working for the very senior leadership team at JP Morgan, doing a lot of strategic kind of right-hand work for them. And once I reached a point where I was like, I don't think I can problem solve in a way that's like very meaningful for me anymore, that's when I left and did something else that was problem solving. And so I think it's always been like, I want to solve a big problem, but I want to do something that I feel good about as a person.
Come on, I know something inspired you.
Yeah, the person actually that inspired me is here tonight.
Oh, who is it? Are they
Professor
here?
Marcelo Suarez. I don't know where are you, but he showed me basically the way.
All right.
So he showed me basically the way,
Yeah.
When I was a graduate student, I wanted to be like him. So all the time I tried to, to be like him, actually.
And I'm sure he's proud of you.
Yeah.
We all are. Okay, second part of the question.
Advice to yourself as an undergrad.
If you knew back then what you know now, what would you tell that person, that self, that earned confidence person?
Don't take yourself or it or anything so seriously. I think that we stress so much about like decisions that we're making, what grad school to go to, what courses to take. And I think that it really actually doesn't matter a whole lot as long as you are learning, right? And everything you do, you learn. And I think that I was always like worked up about some big decision that, you just realize life is just a sequence of these decisions, and it's not really a sequence, it's just a hot mess of decisions. So get used to it.
Yeah. I think we could all learn from that, undergrad or not.
Yeah, that's really true. I think the best thing that I kind of realized was that your life is really just a blank canvas, and you're the artist of it. Like, you do what you want to do, you paint the picture that people want to see, and you sell yourself how people want to see you. But I think the biggest advice I can give my younger self, and even myself, like from 2 days ago, is always bring business cards. I still forgot business cards even this day. I don't know how I do it, but it happens.
You gotta keep them in your wallet.
Yeah.
Next to your money.
I think the advice I would give myself is just what is meant for you is gonna come to you.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of, thanks. I feel like I spent a lot of time trying to force things that didn't fit or gave up on things that I thought were out of my reach because of feelings of inadequacy or whatever, come later to find that it actually was meant for me. And you can try to put it down and run from it and turn your back on it, and you'll just keep coming right back around to it. So, just try to keep that in the back of your mind if you're early on in your career. Like, whatever it is that's meant to happen to you is gonna happen.
Okay. So I think I'm seeing, hold on, I got 2 questions. I think I got one here, and then I'll come back there to you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Chelsea Cooper. I'm representing Virginia State University. My question to the panel is, was there ever a point in your life where
or during your career rather, that you felt as if you were fearful of reaching your fullest potential? And based on that, what made you want to go past the barrier of just competency? Thank you.
A point in your career ever when you felt that where you were fearful?
Where you were fearful of reaching your fullest potential.
Where you were fearful of reaching your fullest potential, and what made you move past that? You mean other than yesterday, right?
Yeah, today.
At least for me, other than yesterday. Any point where you were
I
fearful?
don't think any of you guys have a ceiling on your potential. Your potential is infinite and it's limitless. And you shouldn't be fearful about getting anywhere close to that. And the more you ascend, the more your potential is going to go up. So that's my view. And I think that the young lady who asked that, where are you? Raise your hand. She went back there?
No, she's right here. By the
Oh, she's right here?
microphone.
You don't have a ceiling on your potential. That's how I view it, but
I think that's real. I do. I think that's real.
And also, another thing too is that there's so many people out there that will impact our confidence and make us feel like our potential is lower than it is. They're haters. And haters will always be there. They're cockroaches.
Cockroaches. I like that. They're like cockroaches. So I want to just keep it moving, and so we get to as many questions as we possibly can. Yes, sir.
Yes. Calvin Briggs. I'm at Lawson State Community College in Birmingham, Alabama. Hello, Nicole.
Hi. That's remote.
I just want to say that you panelists are just shining examples of what all the directors and the PIs and the co-PIs and the audience strive for all their students. I'd like to give you a round of applause.
Thank you. I agree. I agree.
I would also like for the panelists, especially Nicole, you got some of your Lawson State former colleagues in the audience, and we got 10 of our STEM scholars here. I'd like you to talk about your transition from the community college level to the four-year level and on to graduate school, and what that journey was like for you as a STEM scholar.
So I went to a community college out of high school, and then I transferred to UAB. I think that, and I feel like I've been asked this question before at something else, but people always want to know that, like, what is it like to go from, the 2-year level to the 4-year level? And to me, it was never any different. And it might be different for other people, but it was like, if I'm gonna go to college, I don't care if it's Brown Mackey or if it's Harvard, I'm gonna give it my all. And I hate, or no offense to anybody in the room or anything, but I don't like when people get caught up in the label of the school, because I feel like you can go anywhere and be a stellar student regardless of if there's 10 of you in the room or if there's 150 of you in the room. If you're not giving your all, then you're not giving yourself your best shot, no matter what the name of the school is that you're at. So to me, it was like, I'm always going to give it my all no matter where I am, and that's the attitude I took in community college, in undergrad, and in grad school, and even now. So that's my experience. Sorry, I keep hitting my mic. That's my experience. Somebody else might have a different, but that's mine, and it didn't matter to me if it was Lawson State or Alabama, University of Alabama or Auburn or wherever. I was gonna go, and in each class I gave it my best shot, and that's how I feel about it.
Very good. So I'm going to keep it rolling. And is there a question in the back here? Yes? Oh, yes, sir. You, and then I'll come up front right here.
Hello.
Hi.
How you guys doing? My name is Jalen Myers. I attend Tuskegee University. I'm a senior chemical engineering major. And my question was, what is the best way to address a problem in a group without talking at your group members to get them to understand you?
What is the best way to address a problem in the group without talking at your group members to get them?
Well, like coming at them like I'm a superior. You know, I just saw a problem and I would like to address it. So what's the best way to articulate myself to be able to be on a level playing field?
Oscar, can you repeat the question?
Sure. So what's the best way to articulate oneself to be able to be on the same level playing field with those who are either on your team or on your class or those who you were trying to problem solve with?
Yes, ma'am.
Are your group members in the room right now? Just kidding.
He said yes, ma'am.
That was the best way.
Have you ever heard of a compliment sandwich? That's something that I like to use. So that means that you start out with something good, then you go into a constructive criticism, not just like, this sucks, give me this again, but like something that they can actually go back and fix and bring back to you, and then end with something good. That's what I typically like to do, because it's like, you kind of warm them up in the beginning, and then after they're all warmed up to all the stuff they did well, then they can better receive whatever it is that your expertise is in, because at the end of the day, if you are an expert in something and something is wrong, not telling them is not going to do any good. You need to tell them. So I wouldn't tiptoe around it. I'm a Southern woman. I don't tiptoe around nothing. So I tell them, but start with good, go into the criticism, and then end with something good. That's what I would do.
Okay, so I got the 5-minute warning. We're going to get through as many of these questions as we possibly can. So yes, ma'am, very quickly.
Hey guys, Tori Spencer representing Lincoln University, Missouri. I just wanted to ask you guys, so even in my own STEM programs and my internships, I see a lot of opportunities that aren't filled. How do you guys encourage other students to take an interest in STEM field?
How do we encourage other students to take an interest in STEM? We come to the ERN conference.
Yeah, I think my biggest thing with that one is kind of like working with my mentees now in the big program, how they're still going through high school, preparing themselves for college, is no. The only worst that someone can tell you is no. As many opportunities as it is, apply for them until your fingers fall off. Like, if you get all of them, then you have to tell them no, and then it's gonna feel good. Like, hey, I had to turn that down. But you won't never know if you get it or you're qualified if you never put yourself out there and really take interest in it. And you just have to believe in yourself, like, yeah, this is for me, and this is what I wanna go get.
Thank you. Yes, sir. You'll have the last question. It's on.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Mikhail Smith. I'm a junior at Harris Stowe State University. And my question is pertaining to just something pretty general. So we all, are individuals, and we have our own STEM story. I've been hearing that a lot today, people reinventing themselves in order for their greater good, I guess, just in their destiny in life. What advice would you all individually give to those students who may be just going through a plethora of problems and just want to know what is this piece that you hold on to individually that kind of keeps you going through, oh, you're getting shot down, the doors are getting closed in your face, and you're like, no, this is still my dream.
I think you should answer this question.
What's the advice that you give people to keep on keeping on?
I think you have to identify what your own self-care process is that works for you. And I think that, especially in communities of color, even mental health, we don't even talk about that stuff.
That's true.
But I tell you that every Tuesday at 6:45 p.m., I see my therapist. Twice a month, I see my life coach. And every week, 3 to 4 times a week in the morning before work, I go to meditation class. And that is my process and my system that I use to help me maintain my peace. The other thing I'll mention really quickly is that there's some people that may not bring peace to you. Yeah. And it's okay to love people from a distance. Sometimes they may be your family, your cousins, your friends, and that you gotta handle too.
I really don't think I could have said it better.
Yeah, I know that was great.
Than that. That was great. Ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, hello, hi. One more question. Sorry.
What's happening?
One more question.
Right here. Oh, okay. We can't see. Where are you? Okay, I got you. Last question, for real though.
Sorry to bombard you. I'm Sade Roberts from Tuskegee University. And my question is for the ladies. At any time did you feel alienated in a male-dominated arena? I like to say
100%.
arena, figuratively speaking.
I think that a lot of times there are tables that exist and rooms that exist that we're not invited to. I made a habit of inviting myself to the room. Oh, there's that meeting happening. Oh yeah, I'll come with you. Oh, there's that thing happening. Oh, I'm gonna sit at that table too. And so we have to be comfortable inviting ourselves to the conversations. I've been left out of a ton of stuff, and I stopped getting left out because I just like intruded. And it's like, what are they gonna do? Tell me I can't come? No, I'm gonna be there.
I think my answer would be way less mature than that, and like so much more petty. So I would say, because yes, I have felt like that. I think the trick is that you find, whatever field you're in, find what it is that they need and be that. And so that way, when it comes time for them, that they need that, whatever, that role, that program, that process, that whatever it is, look for a missing piece. Because every company, every program, every school, every institution has a hole. And if you can fill that hole, they have no choice but to come to you. And when they're in a bind, they're not going to care if you're green, purple, male, female. But if you've got what they need, they're going to come to you. And so I kind of like you, like that's kind of inserting yourself in at the table. Like I just sit back. Like I'll be working off in the cut, and then as soon as they need it, oh, can you? Sure can. Like that's how you just slide your way on in. Like so that's what I would say do. But yeah, that's gonna happen. I've accepted that. I mean, we're double minorities. We've got a double whammy against us being black and being women in a white male-dominated field, STEM. Just accept it and roll with it. Don't victimize yourself, and become what it is that they need. And that's more empowering than crying about why the doors are closing for you because you're a black woman. I would say empower yourself to be what it is that they need, and do your job well. Be excellent at it.
So,
well, I want to thank you for.
Just
I wanna
wanted
thank
to
you for
thank this
joining.
awesome panel.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Family, help me
Let's
thank
give
our
them a big
panel.
round of applause.